Over 2,000 years ago, a man stood up against the oppression of a ruling class, and his words of wisdom continue to resonate today, altering the course of humanity. This man is so influential that history has been divided into before and after his birth, and his legacy continues to intrigue and inspire both the religious and those who do not profess any faith. In today's video, we will delve into one of his most challenging and deeply enigmatic phrases: love your enemies. How can we love those who threaten, harm, or even wish us ill? Today, we will discuss the importance of enemies in our lives and how we can use them as a stepping stone to success. Before continuing, I would like to give a quick message. I have published my second book, and you can read it for free if you have Kindle Unlimited. In it, I take you on a journey to the wild Brazil of the Discovery era, a mystical adventure told through the eyes of Isaac, a boy who fights to preserve his family's religious traditions away from the Inquisitor's eyes. One day, while trying to escape a beating, he seeks refuge in the forest and is captured by warrior indigenous people. He only escapes the pot because the gigantic king of the Tupinambas, the devourer Cunhambebe, senses a mystical smell in the boy's blood. Embark on Caravel of Fire and see how Isaac's story and his adventures in the Brazilian jungle end. To understand the seemingly paradoxical message, let's draw an analogy with the world of sports. Think of any competition, whether it's boxing, football, or even a simple game of chess. Without an opponent, there is no fight, no challenge, and consequently, no glorious victory. Imagine you are a fighter who has trained intensely for a match, but your opponent doesn't show up. While you may be declared the winner, the absence of a battle robs your triumph of its glory. In football, if there is no opposing team to face, the game loses its meaning. The same logic applies to life. Without enemies, without adversaries, there is no glory in victories. Confrontation is essential because it is what drives us to grow, improve, and strive for excellence. This idea might seem strange at first, but it is deeply rooted in the human experience. Even in video games, for example, the absence of an opponent makes the experience dull. You might spend hours creating the perfect character, fine-tuning every detail, but if, upon entering the game, there is no one to face, all the excitement is lost. Life, like a game or competition, requires adversaries so that we can test and refine our skills. It is an interaction with others, often in conflict, that we discover who we truly are and what we are capable of. Before we dive deeper into the utility of enemies, we need to talk about a feeling that often arises in these relationships: resentment. Deep resentments can become a heavy burden, diverting our energy and attention from what truly matters. According to Seneca in his Letters to Lucilius, anger is a brief madness. It's better not to let it become permanent in our soul. If you are stuck with feelings of rancor, it is essential to learn to forgive and move on. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting or allowing injustice to repeat itself, but rather freeing yourself from the emotional prison that resentment can create. When we forgive, we are actually liberating ourselves to continue our journey, lighter and stronger. If you have been deeply hurt and feel that you cannot forgive, remember the words of Marcus Aurelius in his Meditations. The best way to avenge yourself on those who have wronged you is to not become like them. Forgiving is not an act of weakness, but of strength. It is recognizing that the power is in your hands to decide how you will be affected by what others do. By forgiving, you take back control over your life and emotions, allowing yourself to move forward without carrying the weight of the past. Furthermore, it is important to understand that our enemies can be an invaluable source of learning and growth. In her book, The Art of Living, Sharon Labelle interprets Epictetus' teachings by saying, "What seems to be a roadblock is actually the path." This means that the difficulties imposed by our adversaries are not barriers, but stepping stones for our progress. By observing and learning from the actions of our enemies, we can model the behavior that led to success and avoid the mistakes that led to failure. As the saying goes, a bad example is still an example of what not to do. Throughout history, adversity has been a driving force for human development. It is the resistance we encounter along the way that forces us to innovate, to seek better and more efficient solutions. In The Law of Success, Napoleon Hill highlights that every adversity, every failure, every headache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. This is evident in the progress of humanity. The competition between individuals, companies, and nations leads to technological and social advancements that benefit everyone, including the most disadvantaged. Think about how technology has transformed the world in just a few decades. What was once inaccessible is now within reach of almost everyone, thanks to the constant overcoming of challenges imposed by competition and adversity. However, it is crucial to be aware of the traps that enemies can set for us. In the 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene advises using enemies to your advantage, turning them into allies when possible. An enemy-turned friend can become one of your most loyal collaborators, working tirelessly to prove their worth. But it is equally important to recognize when a battle is not worth fighting. As Seneca said, often the best course is not to fight. Don't waste your energy on arguments and confrontations that bring no real benefit. Keep your focus on what truly matters and invest in your own development and progress. Sometimes what an enemy says to us in a rude or offensive manner is the truth we need to hear to grow. In many situations, our friends may hesitate to point out our flaws, but an enemy will do so without hesitation. Therefore, instead of automatically rejecting an adversary's criticisms, consider them and see if there is something you can learn and improve upon. Finally, just as large corporations buy startups to neutralize competition, you can adopt similar strategies in your life. Learn to identify threats and turn them into opportunities, strengthening your position and ensuring your success. Use the resources available to grow, learning from both triumphs and mistakes, yours and others. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell. Your comment is valuable so that we can continue to bring relevant content that helps you achieve your goals. Remember, the journey to success is long and full of challenges, but with the right mindset, every obstacle can be transformed into an opportunity to grow and triumph. Let's delve even deeper into the importance of enemies in our lives and how we can develop a mindset that allows us to make the most of the adversities they impose on us. The concept of mindset, widely discussed by Carol S. Dweck in her book Mindset: The New Psychology of Success, offers us a powerful lens through which we can view our enemies and the challenges they bring. According to Dweck, people can have one of two types of mindsets: fixed or growth. How you perceive and deal with your enemies directly depends on which of these mindsets you adopt. A fixed mindset is characterized by the belief that our abilities and intelligence are static and unchangeable. People with this type of mentality tend to avoid challenges, fear failure, and see enemies and criticism as threats to their self-esteem. However, this limiting view prevents us from growing, learning, and evolving. When we believe that our capabilities are fixed, any criticism or confrontation with an enemy is seen as confirmation of our flaws and limitations, leading us to avoid difficult situations, retreat in the face of adversity, and distance ourselves from those who challenge us. In this scenario, enemies are seen merely as obstacles that hinder our journey, rather than as catalysts for growth. On the other hand, a growth mindset is characterized by the belief that we can develop our abilities and intelligence through effort, learning, and perseverance. With this mentality, adversities and enemies are viewed from a completely different perspective. Instead of shying away from challenges, people with a growth mindset embrace them, understanding that each obstacle is an opportunity to learn and become stronger. When you adopt this approach, your enemies cease to be threats and become teachers, who, through their criticisms and opposition, provide you with valuable feedback for your development. Dweck argues that the power of a growth mindset lies in the ability to view failure and adversity as learning opportunities. By adopting this mindset, you begin to see that your enemies play a crucial role in your personal and professional evolution. They challenge your beliefs, force you to reevaluate your strategies, and require you to adapt and innovate. As a result, you become more resilient, creative, and effective in your actions. Remember, we all face adversity, but it is our response to adversity that determines our success. Enemies, when viewed through the lens of a growth mindset, are like weights in a gym. They provide resistance, but that resistance is exactly what strengthens us. Think about how great leaders in history use their enemies as a driving force to achieve extraordinary feats. Martin Luther King Jr., for example, faced immense opposition during the civil rights movement, but it was this opposition that shaped his message, refined his strategies, and galvanized a movement that changed the world. According to Dweck, true self-confidence is within ourselves. It is being open to feedback and willing to accept challenges. This is precisely what a growth mindset gives us: the courage to face our enemies head-on, knowing that each confrontation is an opportunity to improve. Therefore, the importance of having enemies is not limited to the confrontation itself, but to what it reveals about ourselves. Enemies have the ability to expose our weaknesses, reveal our insecurities, and challenge our beliefs. But in doing so, they offer us a mirror through which we can see our areas for improvement. As Epictetus observed in his Enchiridion, people are not disturbed by things, but by the view they take of them. With a growth mindset, we change our view of enemies. Instead of seeing them as something to be feared or avoided, we begin to see them as necessary for our transformation and progress. This transformative mentality is what allows criticism to be received as a gift. When someone challenges us or points out our flaws, we have the opportunity to grow, correct our mistakes, and improve our skills. Instead of defending ourselves against criticism or harboring resentment against those who wrong us, we can choose to learn and evolve from these experiences. This doesn't mean we should passively accept all criticism or keep people in our lives who intentionally harm us. But it does mean that we can choose how we react to these situations, making the most of them for our personal growth. This process of changing perspective is fundamental to success in any area of life, whether in business, relationships, or personal development. The ability to turn challenges into opportunities is what separates those who merely survive from those who truly thrive. In The Law of Success, Napoleon Hill emphasizes that victory comes to those who refuse to stop fighting, and fighting often means facing those who oppose us, using that opposition as fuel for our own success. In conclusion, by developing a growth mindset, you learn to value and even appreciate the presence of enemies in your life. They cease to be mere obstacles and become catalysts for your growth and evolution. By adopting this mentality, you set yourself on a path of continuous improvement, where every adversity is seen as a lesson and every enemy as a teacher. From that moment on, your journey to success is no longer a battle against others, but a mission to surpass yourself, becoming the best possible version of who you are. If this content resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next videos. Leave your comment about how you have faced your enemies and challenges in life, and remember, with the right mindset, there is no adversity that you cannot turn into an opportunity for growth. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video.